Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a pretty cold evening in Scotland. So in today's video what we're going to do is we're going to get the BRZ into the garage, start stripping it down, see how bad the damage is and figure out what parts we need to order, because at the moment it doesn't look too bad, but there's usually something hidden underneath bumpers that are that badly damaged. So with that, let's swap these cars around super quick. I'm not gonna lie, I was planning on doing one of my usual cutscene bits, but considering the BRZ and the GTR both had flat batteries, it was just impossible to do. So anyway, now that the BRZ's in the garage, let's get in there, get the garage door down because it's absolutely freezing out here, and let's set about this front end, see how bad it really is. Well, that's at least slightly warmer. So before we actually strip apart the front end, let's take a look around the car, because I've not actually looked around this car really yet. See if we can find anything interesting, because usually Copart cars, I've got something interesting going on with them. Packets of chewing gum, that's not very interesting. Going to need to try and reattach that at some point, because that comes out of there. Well, that's quite a cool little compartment. More chewing gum. Previous owner really liked their chewing gum. Oh, lock and wheel nut key. Haha. These cars never come with them. We've got a Black & Decker car hoover, which is kind of cool. Starting to figure out this guy didn't run into the back of somebody else. Looks like he went on an excursion through a field. And that would be part of the wall that he hit. But on the plus side, might have left me new wipers. Maybe these are the old ones? Not sure. Right, so before we start working on the front end of this car, let's get this carpet out, give it a shake off, because I can't deal with that much mud inside a car. This is ridiculous. Well, that's slightly better. Right, let's go and start stripping down the front. Well, I think it's fairly safe to say that that front bumper is toast. So what we'll do is we'll leave it in the garage just now, because I'm obviously going to want to rub bits off it wherever I can when we get the new bumper for it. But it's starting to give us a much better idea of the amount of damage that this car took when it hit the wall. So anyway, with that, let's crack on, get the headlights out, because they're obviously toasted as well. So we'll get as much out of the way that we can without removing any of the structural pieces. So for example, we'll leave the front panel in place for just now, And we'll leave the front cross member in as well, just for just now, because we might try and pull them out a wee bit back to original before we put new parts on. Well, we're starting to see the extent of the damage now. But there's always a plus side. It looks like the front cross member took all the damage, because the actual chassis leg looks perfectly straight. No kinks or ripples in it at all. And obviously, as we know already, front panel's pretty badly crushed. Got a kinked aircon line that we'll need to deal with at some point. And although the radiator and the condenser managed to survive, I think, by the fact that there's not been any fluid dripping out, it does look remarkably like the subframe took a bit of a bash. So maybe we need to go and source a new one of them and figure out how difficult that is to swap out. Or maybe see if we can pull it, but I doubt it because of the kink that's in there. But anyway, not to worry. Right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove the airbox and all this stuff here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get the radiator and the aircon condenser out, purely because in order to get them out, this panel's got to come off. And what I don't want to do before I pull the car is remove that bar, because that bar will be under quite a lot of tension because of all the damage it's sustained here, and I'll never get it back in place when I'm pulling it. So like I say, plan for just now, remove all this stuff at the back, and then we'll take it from there. That is quite the pile of crash damage stuff. And the reason why we're going to just leave it there for just now is because we might need the bolts and clips and nuts and bolts that are entangled in all of this mess when we buy the new parts. So up until the point that this bad boy is fully rebuilt, that stuff is going to sit there in a big ball of shame. The next thing we should be doing in this video is starting to pull all this damage out. But unfortunately, I don't have the right tools for it, and me being me, I didn't order them in time for this video. But one thing that's been driving me absolutely mad since I got this car collected was the absolute state of the interior. So let's give this a quick clean, not to detailed level, but to clean enough that I'm comfortable actually sitting in it. Well, that looks a bit better. Better than it was. Not perfect yet, but it will be once we've finished all the bodywork. So anyway, with that, that's going to be the end of this week's episode, guys and girls. I hope you liked it. I do apologise for it being a little bit shorter than I expected, but without the right tools, we can't fix that. So in next week's episode, that is exactly what we're going to crack on with. We're going to start pulling out all this damage, which should in theory allow us to remove the radiator and the aircon condenser. And if I have any luck at all sourcing parts, which parts for this car are actually quite hard to come by without going direct to Toyota. But if I manage to source all the parts that we need, we'll pull out the damage, fit all the new parts, get it all lined up where it should be. And then in theory, it should just be a case of putting everything back together again. We'll also get the car up in the air, try and figure out how bad all this damage actually is underneath the car, because we've not looked at that yet. And as always, I hope you're keeping well and I hope you're keeping safe. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.